So we had a story of this guy. He, in 3 separate counties, was married to 3 women at the same time for financial gain. Guilford County, Davidson County, and Lincoln County.
Lincoln, I believe.
And we talked to a register of deeds, and he's like, yeah, there's no national database that says, oh, you're married. You just have to sign, and you read some pledge that, like, I'm telling the truth.
I'm not lying. But
I'm not married to 2 other women in 2 different. Why would you even ask that?
Why? That's silly, but I am lying straight to your face.
And so much so that detectives have released a thing like, are you also a victim of this guy? He's like in the 60s or 70s. Are you also married to him? Because they think it might be more women that he married, and he did it for financial gain. And we got in discussion like, but what is the penalty? We know morally it's wrong, but why is it wrong legally? And we have our official attorney, Lisa Lanier. Good morning, Lisa.
Hi, Lisa.
Hey, good morning. And this guy, I'm going to tell you, he's a looker, too.
Yeah.
That's what we said,
How did he get 3 girls to like him?
This guy, right. He looks like a troll, and he is beating the women off with a stick.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
I mean, he's local, so I'm not going to say that.
Yeah.
He might, or someone we know might be listening.
You're right, Lisa, though.
Yeah. No, but I mean, he's not exactly, come on, he's not exactly.
No, I said that yesterday. I said, he's a heartbreaker. I mean, look at him.
A heartbreaker, exactly. Yeah,
He's going to come after you.
Yeah, well.
Not you.
I've had worse.
Somebody else.
Yeah.
I've had worse.
So, so it's a Class 1 felony. I don't think he's going to be coming after me anytime soon. It's a Class 1 felony. And so it's punishable for between 3 and 12 months per offense. And so they've charged him so far with 2. What I read was that they've identified a third. And these are, 3 different marriages. And they think there's more. And so literally, like you said, there's an announcement out there. If you've been married to this man, call him.
My gosh.
I had that announcement for me, too, but it's for different reasons.
Different reason, right.
We just say, do not marry this man.
Right,
That's what we say.
Yeah,
we put the announcement out.
A class action lawsuit against me at this point, but yeah.
Oh, my gosh. But, so the interesting thing is that when someone does this and they, trick you and you marry them, you don't know they've been married, that they're already married, the marriage is immediately considered void. So you don't have to get a divorce. You can actually go to the court and ask for an annulment, some paperwork that just says, hey, this is not a real marriage. It should have never happened. And you can even here it's not going to be helpful because this guy apparently was trying to get money from these women. But if you had a wealthy person doing this and was just doing it for whatever reason, for jollies or whatever, or for their religious beliefs, like in some situations that we have heard about, then in that situation, the spouse, if they were like a dependent spouse, and then it turns out they've got this nullified marriage, there's a way in North Carolina that they can file what's called to be considered a putative spouse, and they could get things like alimony and that sort of thing.
But in this case, I understand he's getting charged with a felony. He was trying to almost commit fraud, possibly. We're not, allegedly. But if somebody, like you just said, had a lot of money and the 3 women were dependents and they all knew, like you said, about the religious beliefs, they all knew that they're entering into a marriage where he's married to multiple people. Why? And then somebody told me this yesterday in a meeting, well, it doesn't matter. It's the government. I get that. But if he's not getting any tax breaks and he's only reporting 1 wife, although he is technically married to 3, why should that be a felony and why should you be charged and potentially go to jail?
It's just been, it's been the law of our country forever, that we basically inherited all of our laws for the most part, from Great Britain. And it has its roots, I think, in a combination of probably religious, teachings, as well as sort of the science of what people used to worry about inbreeding and still do, and so I think it's for public health reasons like that, because you don't want consequences of genetic mishaps that can happen from, kind of, if you get people marrying within these big families, it seems that there turns out that you're marrying your cousins and you're, they
not
think that all that
knowing
kind of goes together, not knowing, right? They all become related, so it kind of mixes up the gene pool, I think was part of the theory there. But I think it's mainly, it's kind of a cultural, religious taboo that has just been handed down. And in some areas, it's considered a felony in almost every jurisdiction in the United States, except in I think Utah, they've made it a misdemeanor. And you know,
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever watched like Sister Wives and stuff like that. I mean, it's interesting.
Boy, I know all about it.
He
Lisa.
does.
All about here, everything about it. But yeah,
I'm sure you do.
they don't really prosecute it either. I mean, it's against the law, but they're just like
Yeah.
they have these little small communities that practice polygamy and they just leave them alone.
Because they're not on
Unless
a-
they're hurting kids or something.
right,
they don't.
hurting children, or they're marrying underage,
Right.
Or and then also not on television. You know what I
Right,
mean? Like
right.
Sister
Not in your
Wives,
face.
every single one of them except for one wife have nothing to do with Cody Brown at all.
And they can't
And
legally
so-
marry him.
Right? Yeah, I mean, it was like a ceremony.
Right.
that
I
they would
believe Katie and I are the same belief that if they're not defrauding the government,
Oh, yeah.
and they're not
they're consenting. That's what I care about.
consenting, that it's kind of unreasonable for just because you decide that's the style you want to live. It's not unreasonable to assume that you should be punished and go to jail. Now, yesterday in a meeting upstairs, I couldn't get that across, but the guy
I
was
wasn't
saying,
there. That's why.
the guy was saying, "Oh no, it's because it's a government. They're still under the government's eyes, and that's why it's illegal." And I get that, but I'm just saying, if they're not defrauding anybody, who cares?
Morally, I think it's, for me, I don't care what you do. You
Right,
know,
right.
like
Same with me.
as long as they are consenting adults and they know what they're entering into, then I'm like, okay.
Yes.
But the problem with this guy that I have, and I think the government has, rightfully so, is that none of these other women
Correct.
knew
Oh,
that
really?
Right.
he was
He's defrauding
married.
people.
Yeah,
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 this guy's defrauding
They
people.
thought
His
they were
wife doesn't know
marrying,
about
you know,
each
this
other.
hot guy from
Sure.
this area.
In his
So-
prime.
In his prime time.
Well, then if that's the case, I think instead of being charged with the multiple marriage, because I don't believe that, he should be charged with just fraud.
Well, it just goes along with
Yeah.
it because
Yeah.
he's done it
and
numerous
and
times.
I don't like how you left Matt out. Matt's for marrying cousins.
It's fine.
From his,
Just because I'm from that area doesn't mean I'm for it.
oh,
Well, you know,
You're just
another thing that
sympathetic
tends
toward
to
it.
happen
I understand
is
it.
a lot of
Right, I
times-
understand it.
A lot
There
of
you go.
times these folks that do this, you know, that engage in bigamy or polygamy, oftentimes it tends to be in these sects, and there can be cults, and there can be a lot of underage, like young girls being forced
Right.
to marry these people, and so
Like Bill
that's
Belichick.
why a lot of it is.
I mean, at this point,
Oh man,
There's nothing
that's
wrong
why
with
a lot
his,
of it
but-
ends up under, you know, drawing the scrutiny of law enforcement. Like you said, I think they look the other way when it's consenting adults
Yeah.
in most jurisdictions.
and for the record, Jason, I don't care what people do either. And if you're dumb enough to marry 2 or 3 women at a time, that's your problem.
and I feel
or 2 or 3 men at the
Yeah,
same time.
2 or
You're an
3 men.
idiot.
And then
Okay.
also the idea of having to share one, I'm like, I cannot.
I cannot. If you want to
could
do
never enter into that.
Well,
So-
in
but if
Sister
that's what-
Wives, the guy was stressing me out because it was
'Cause he's
you know,
ugly?
What if you
Number one,
well, what if you
Get a
have
cool
3
haircut.
women on their periods? Oh my gosh!
that's
mean,
what
yeah.
you signed up for.
Your
If-
chances of being murdered go up
Yeah.
through the roof.
Oh man, right? One is hard enough, right? Can you imagine having multiple? Right?
and I, you know,
Do you guys remember that show Big Love with
Yes.
Bill Paxton? I love that show,
Yeah.
and he did a great job with that.
All right, Lisa, thank you so
Thank
much.
you,
We
Lisa.
appreciate you.
Absolutely.
She's great. If
she is exhausted by us completely. Thank you.
you're ever
Bye-bye.
injured on the job, contact, or just injured in general, and she does way more than that, contact Lisa right away at hireaheavyweight.com.